Good day, everyone. Today's story is about a woman whose life and crimes shocked the world, Aileen Wuornos. In this presentation, I will walk you through her early life, the murders she committed, her capture and trial, and ultimately her execution. Through this, we'll also reflect on the larger issues of trauma, violence, justice, and society. Aileen was born in 1956 in a Detroit suburb. Her childhood was deeply troubled. Her parents divorced before she was born, and her father, Leo Pittman, was later convicted for kidnapping and raping a young girl. Her mother left her and her brother with their grandparents, and Aileen alleged that she was sexually assaulted and physically abused by her grandfather. By age 15, she had given birth to a son, whom she put up for adoption. She dropped out of school and drifted into a life of crime and sex work. Arrests for driving under the influence, disorderly conduct, assault, car theft, and armed robbery were part of her early record. Also, she attempted suicide multiple times during her teens and early 20s. This background sets the stage. Trauma, neglect, violence, vulnerability, and a young woman pushed into the margins of society. Aileen's first known murder happened on November 30, 1989. Her victim was Richard Mallory, a 51-year-old electronics shop owner in Clearwater, Florida, who picked her up while she was working as a prostitute. Aileen claimed he raped, beat, and sodomized her, and she shot him several times, twice in the lungs, killing him. From then until late 1990, she is believed to have killed 7 men, though only 6 bodies were found. Each of these murders involved a man she met while she was working sex work along Florida highways. Victims included David Spears, shot 6 times, Charles Carskadden, 9 shots, wrapped in a blanket, a retiree whose body was never found, Peter Seams, Troy Burress, 2 bullet wounds, Charles Richard Dick Humphreys, 6 shots to head and torso, and Walter Gino Antonio, 4 shots to back and head. In her statements, Aileen claimed that at least some of these murders were in self-defense, alleging the men had tried to rape or assault her. The prosecution contended otherwise. The case became especially shocking and attention-grabbing because female serial killers are rare. Capture, trial, and conviction. Aileen's capture came after investigators connected her palm print in Seam's car and matched her prints in law enforcement databases. On January 9, 1991, she was arrested. Peopled Calm, her partner, Tyria Moore, was granted immunity to help secure Aileen's confession. On January 16, 1991, she confessed to all 7 murders while still asserting self-defense. She was charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder, since 1 body was never found. Her first trial, for the murder of Mallory, began in January 1992. She was convicted on January 27 and sentenced to death 4 days later. In the months following, she pleaded no contest or pleaded guilty in the other murders, eventually receiving 6 death sentences by February 1993. Throughout the trial and during her time on death row, Aileen alternated between insisting she was acting in self-defense and making statements acknowledging guilt and saying she would kill again. Execution and legacy. After years on death row, her appeals were unsuccessful. Both the Florida Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court denied relief. On October 9, 2002, she was executed by lethal injection at the Florida State Prison. Her last words were chilling and cryptic. "I'm sailing with the Rock and I'll be back like Independence Day with Jesus, June 6, like the movie, big mothership and all. I'll be back." Her story has continued to fascinate the public. She is the subject of films and documentaries. For example, the 2003 film Monster, which earned an Academy Award for Charlize Theron, and more recently the Netflix documentary Aileen, Queen of the Serial Killers. Reflection. What does her case teach us? Trauma and its impact. Aileen's early life was embedded with neglect, abuse, sexual assault, and instability. These experiences can distort trajectories, lead to dysfunctional coping, and sometimes tragic violence. Victim and perpetrator duality. Aileen presents a troubling case. She claimed to be a victim of sexual violence and responded with violence herself. The line between victim and perpetrator becomes blurred. The criminal justice system. This case raised questions about how the system handles female killers, how mental health is evaluated, how sex work intersects with violent crime, and how society views women who kill. Media fascination. Her case shows how true crime narratives capture public attention, especially when they challenge gender norms, female serial killer, and raise uncomfortable questions. Moral complexity. It's tempting to see black and white, murderer equals evil. But here we see layers: abused young woman, a sex worker, people battered by life, who then committed terrible acts. Recognizing complexity doesn't excuse the violence, but it helps us understand. Conclusion. In closing, Aileen Wuornos remains one of the most infamous female serial killers in U.S. history. Her life story is painful and disturbing. From a deeply troubled childhood, through a spree of murders, to her eventual execution, the arc of her life provokes reflection. Why did she kill? Were her claims of self-defense credible? What societal failures contributed to her descent? Her case forces us to ask, how do we respond to victims who become violent perpetrators? How does the system respond to trauma, violence, gender, and crime? Thank you for listening. I hope this talk has given you a clear overview of Aileen Wuornos' life and crimes, while also prompting deeper thought about the human and societal issues involved.